Well, we are in the kitchen this morning cooking up something very yummy. Everyone in the studio was like, oh my God, I've got to have some of that. What are you doing for us today?
Well, this is very exciting because this is buffalo from Gunpowder Buffalo Farm, and that is a local farm in Moncton. So it's a local product which is available to you in a couple of local grocery stores, or certainly you can take a trip out to the farm, which is great. You can also see the buffalo. But buffalo is very healthy. It's very lean, has very low fat, and a lot of people are concerned about maybe perhaps the gaminess or the flavor of the buffalo. It's a beautiful meat. I would really say it's somewhat similar to beef in flavor, maybe a little bit more flavorful, but it's a great piece of meat. And this is a flat iron steak. I'm going to get started on my barbecue sauce while we talk about it. I'm doing a pretty simple barbecue. I have a little bit of fresh onion, and this is a green onion from our local market. So we're starting to get a lot of really great stuff from our local farmers. And this is a fresh piece of garlic, and it has a milder flavor, so you can use a lot more of it than you would something that isn't fresh. So I'm just going to add the garlic and the onion to the pan. You want a nice amount of butter in your barbecue sauce. Meanwhile, this is grilled. I marinated it in chipotle and a little bit of oil. Excuse me, and grilled it lightly. And now I'm finishing it to make it sort of tender and more pulled like you would with barbecue. Excuse me. And so
it's making you hungry.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening right now, but apparently I'm not supposed to be speaking. So here we go with the onions and the garlic. Once that's soft, I'm going to add a little bit of tomato, and you could either add tomato or you could add ketchup if you like that flavor. I'm a little bit more fond of a strained tomato than ketchup because I also then want to add some Tabasco. And Tabasco in quantity would be however much you like. If you want it to be spicy, keep adding the Tabasco. That's a little bit of fresh lemon juice. I add a little bit of salt. I always add a little bit of sugar to the barbecue, and a little bit of freshly ground pepper. And at the very end, I'm going to add just a little bit of bourbon. This is a small batch bourbon from Four Roses, and it's a really pretty bourbon. And I love that tone in, especially with the buffalo, because the buffalo can definitely take on that flavor of the bourbon. So we have buffalo ready to go. I can slice this, serve it with my sauce. And one of the other things that I really like with this dish are fried green tomatoes. And this is a great time of the year for that. As your tomatoes start to grow, you really use an unripe green tomato, and we just lightly dust them with cornmeal, a little bit of cayenne pepper and salt, and you can either lightly saute them on the stove, or if you have a fryer at your house, you can deep fry them. Either way.
And, I mean, you're really a pro about this. We were talking about it before a commercial break, but you have several restaurants, you and your husband. Yeah, tell us about that.
I am the chef at Charleston, which was our first restaurant, and that's in the Harbor East development. And then across the street is Cinghiale. Cinghiale is Northern Italian. Pazzo down the street, Spanish tapas, food of that Mediterranean area. And, of course, Petit Louis, which is a classic French bistro in Roland Park. But at Charleston, my food is more of a personal cuisine. In the beginning, it was really, really very Southern influenced. But now, over time, I've traveled some to Europe, and I love Spanish food, which is, and food from Mexico. Food from France is extremely important and has been a big influence on me as a chef. And I'm gonna slice this so we can see how fun this is. And with this particular cut of meat, you would just want to slice it very thin. And as you can see, this is cooked all the way through. So this seems a little bit more like barbecue because it's, could be pulled or just thinly sliced. But look how tender that is. Isn't that amazing?
You wouldn't think when you say buffalo that it would be that tender.
It's so tender. Different cuts, there are different cuts that are tender and different cuts that will need to be braised, like any part of the animal. One of the things you go by, if it's going to be braised, it's a muscle that gets used more. And if it's a muscle that is closer to the inside of the body, say the tenderloin, which is on the inside of the loin, then you have a muscle that's very tender because it's not used very much.
Wonderful. And the barbecue sauce goes with that?
Yes.
That looks great. Cindy, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
That
I'm so glad to
looks so yummy.
show you about buffalo because I think it's a fantastic thing to eat.
Wow. I was telling everyone I'm going to finish that up before they all come down and get it. Cindy, well, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's nice to be
Wonderful.
here. Thank you.
Thanks. That looks really good.